What's up, Internet? I wanted to do a short video as kind of an add-on to my Endgame Gearing Options for Freezing Pulse Totems video, specifically about a change that I made in the last week or so, which is this addition of the increased effect of non-damaging elements medium cluster. And the main reason for this is this node right here, Cold Conduction. I didn't talk about this in my last video because I hadn't got around to testing this yet. I had just assumed that this was not going to work for us because we're totems. On second, I revisited this and found that it did work, and I even got in contact with one of the developers in Discord and chatted with him for a minute to talk about how this works exactly. And long story short is that it works perfectly with totems and it's meant to. And that was just some misunderstanding on my part exactly on how totems function. But so the way this node works is that, as written, enemies chilled by your hits are shocked. So what that means is that every time that we chill an enemy with Freezing Pulse, which we do basically every hit, because chill is very easy to apply with cold damage, it's freeze that is a little bit trickier, that node will also shock them. And unlike the other ways you can do this in the game currently, usually those are written as your cold damage can shock. So what this is doing instead is it's just checking if your hit applied chill, and if it does, it applies a baseline 15% shock. It doesn't look at the size of the hit that applied the chill. So what this means is that even against really high health targets, like Cirrus, on Awakener 8, he's got something like 280 million health. Doesn't matter. No matter how much health they have, no matter what their ailment threshold is, if our hit applies chill, which it will even against those high health targets, they'll also get shocked for 15%. The nice thing about this is that this sort of baseline chill, that it doesn't care about the size of the hit, can still be modified by increased effect of non-damaging ailments, which obviously we're going to get 10% just from the minor node because this is a non-damage ailments cluster. We're also going to pair that with Astonishing Affliction on a medium. This will give us 20% more effective non-damaging ailments alongside some extra damage against enemies with ailments on them and a little bit more duration of those ailments. This is also going to improve the effect of our chill and our freeze, by the way, which has a knock-on effect, for example, of improving the effect of the bone chill damage increase when cold snap triggers, right? Our chill is more effective, that increases the effect of bone chill. But this is also going to increase the effect of that shock. More importantly, it also makes getting Redeemer boots much more valuable, because Redeemer can roll this up to 40% increased effect of non-damaging ailments, which is huge. Now, before, when I assumed that this didn't work, like in my last video, I mentioned that there wasn't a lot of exciting options in boots now that Zopex were gone. There are things like Tailwind and Elusive and Hunter that are a little bit tricky to try and trigger with this build unless you are doing your curse via curse on hit, right? Like Awakened curse on hit, where you might have Stormbrand, or you're self-casting Freezing Pulse to get 2 curses. If you're just self-casting a curse, those are really hard to trigger because the only thing you can really hit with yourself is Frostbomb. But here, now we have the opportunity to get Redeemer boots with increased effect of non-damaging ailments to boost the shock and the chill and freeze all by 40% more. In total, this character now has 76% shock effectiveness, which means that 15% shock that is being applied by Cold Conduction goes all the way up to just over 26%, right? And that's basically 26% more damage with hits, because that's how shock works. It's a debuff on the enemy, so it's calculated afterwards, kind of the same way that Unnerve is. This is a huge damage increase, basically. Even if you had no effect of non-damaging ailments, I'm pretty sure that this would easily eclipse the critical chance wheel that I used to have here. Being able to improve it further with increased effect of non-damaging ailments, just icing on the cake. And just to show that this works for people that are, uncertain about my own information, what we'll do, we'll take off my helmet, because my helmet has some flat lightning damage to spells. That on its own could shock a really weak enemy. We'll also spec out of Cold Conduction, right? We'll boot up a quick map here and just jump in. One of the things about ailments is you can see the effect of an ailment on a corpse. So if we run along here and find some enemies, anything that doesn't, get shattered, you will usually see the effect of, say, shock or ignite on a corpse. And you can see that even these guys that aren't getting shocked sometimes, they're just dying, right? They don't have any shock on them. So if we go back and we add Cold Conduction and go find some more enemies somewhere, we can see that these enemies that don't shatter have shock on them. All of them. And this is because every single enemy that is getting shocked, or that's getting chilled, is also getting shocked. Sometimes you don't see it because they get frozen too, which means they shatter and you don't see those effects on their corpse anymore. So, long story short, this is working with totems. It is a huge damage increase. Probably, I think, moves into the #1 priority for mediums. At least on par with this curse cluster. And I highly recommend that you hunt it down. The nice thing about these jewels, by the way, is that Cold Conduction is not a rare weighting in the pool. Like, it's not a hard node to roll. And this Astonishing Affliction, I believe, is the most common in that pool. This was a really easy jewel to self-roll with just alterations until we got, one of these two nodes and then regaling into the other. I just threw an Exalted Orb on this one, so the minor effect on that one is really irrelevant. You can easily craft this on a 4 or a 5 passive medium jewel with alterations and regals. Anyway, I just wanted to throw this out there because I know some people have asked me why in the past week I haven't been, I've changed my gear, and this is why. It's really, really strong, and I highly recommend that you switch from basically any medium cluster that you might be using and adding this Cold Conduction to your build. It's a really nice damage increase, especially against bosses. Anyway, I want to make this video nice and short because I know my videos have gotten pretty long recently. I'm still streaming pretty regularly. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is my typical stream schedule over at twitch.tv/WallachTV. I typically stream starting around 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific. Otherwise, I do still want to do my leveling guide stuff. Things have been a little bit hectic between, trying to stream and all the quarantine stuff going on. But I do want to do it hopefully within the, sometime this upcoming month. Hopefully before April is done. I want to just have it done in full by the time we get to the next league, basically, at this point. But, yeah. That's going to wrap it up. I'll catch you guys next video. Peace.